Great. Thanks so much, Chris. Great introduction there. So, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. A little bit about Western Computer, where we would fit into this picture is we would be helping to implement your Business Central as the ERP. So a little bit about us. Western Computer has been doing this for almost nearly 4 decades with a focus on one thing, and that one thing is Microsoft Dynamics. You can see on the slide, we have over 180 D365 professionals on our team, average employee tenure of over 6 years, and more than 1,700 ERP and CRM implementations under our belt. We're also a top 1% Microsoft partner and rated #1 for Microsoft partners on G2. But what really sets us apart is our promise to you: no suits, no spin. And what that means is we are really not here to rack up those billable hours or create dependencies on us. In fact, we take the approach of we want to build systems that your team can actually own. We want to partner with you long after the go live, and then make sure your data is connected across your entire operation, and work hand in hand with additional vendors like Avalara and Commerce Build. Bottom line, we bring modern technology with that veteran discipline. Business Central is really built for distribution businesses like yours, operations that have real complexities, but you don't necessarily need an enterprise system that takes 2 years and $1 million to implement. You need something that handles your core distribution workflows out of the box, that's extensible as your business grows. So think things like multi-entity or warehouse scanning, and it gets you up and running faster than some of the alternatives on the market today. It's that right size solution for where you are today, but then gives you that room to grow. Now I'm going to hand it over to Telka, and she's going to show you some of this functionality in action.
Let's start at looking at our sales order list, because from Commerce Build, we have received an order from a customer for product, and as Commerce Build sends that information over into Business Central, it will come over as a sales order. All documents, whether they come from e-commerce, you enter them manually, potentially you get orders via email, they will all land in this sales order spot. You have your customer information here, as well as the lines of what has been bought, and then the shipping information that is going to lend itself to then where we will want to collect sales tax. But as we look at the sales order, I want to point out a few things. Microsoft's goal with Business Central is that you are 1 to 2 clicks from anywhere you need to be at any given time. We have what are called fact boxes over here on the right hand side. You will notice that I am 1 click away from my customer card, so that I can examine some information about this customer if I need to. When thinking about sales as a distributor, we have to take into consideration not only the customer themselves, but potentially the ship to addresses that we would be going to for that customer. You can have as many ship to addresses as you want inside of Business Central for a customer, and this way we can track the tax area code and the liability of that customer. Now, one of the things that Avalara brings to the table, and they will talk about a little bit later, is how they establish that tax area code based on the ship to address on the sales document. So we don't have to have everything filled in on the customer card, but if it's a ship to address that you're going to go to on a regular basis, you certainly would want to have it there. Also, we can track, if the customer itself is tax liable or not. And this one is. So we have an item here that is does belong to the retail tax group code. And this is the group code that then drives what sales tax, along with where the product is being shipped to, will determine the percentages of the sales tax that needs to be collected. As we scroll down to look at those ship to addresses, you will note that as those addresses come to us from Commerce Build, they can be either the default address of the customer, they can be an alternate shipping address which would fall into those ship to addresses we have associated with the customer address on their customer card, or we can have a custom address. Let's pretend that someone is at a conference, at a hotel, they've run out of coffee, and they need something sent to them very quickly. They can have a custom address associated with that, maybe to the hotel where the conference is being held. So Business Central is going to be able to handle all of those scenarios for you as we need to start distributing that product out into the field. Now, you will note here that I've got my coffee beans, and just like our customers being one click away, anytime we're on a sales order line, we're also one click away from our availability of that product or the item card itself. Now, if I drill into the item card, you're going to find, some very familiar needs when it comes to tracking items. Certainly, we're going to have an item number, description, a base unit of measure, so that I can track my cost and my pricing by that base, but you are not limited to that base. Business Central will allow you to track as many units of measure as you might need, so that I can track and inventory my product in pieces if I want to, but I also can sell it or purchase it in cases. When you use the item units of measure translations, the costing and the pricing are spot on. So you can be confident in the fact that if you purchase in cases, but then sell it in pieces, your cost of goods are going to be exactly what one piece or one sack of coffee beans would be in that case. You also can track different types of inventory or items. You can have inventory items, service items, and non-inventory items. An example of non-inventory item would be boxes for you to ship with. You want to trace the count of those boxes, but we immediately expense them off when we purchase them. The inventory tab inside of Business Central I find very handy because I can very quickly get to the availability or the quantity on hand of this product. As I drill down into that number, I can see what I have available to me. Also, I can see that I've got 11 on sales orders, and I can easily drill down into that number and open the document that those sales orders represent. Now, one of the things to note here is this is what we call a flow field. It essentially means that information is flowing forward to build that number. It will be spot on. Business Central is a fully interactive ERP system in that we, at any given time, anytime we post, we're going to see the results of that post in the subledgers that are affected. In a sales situation, it would be the items themselves, the customer AR, and then also the general ledger. There's no batch processing that happens. So as these flow fields build themselves, it you can count on it being spot on to what is going on in the system at this time. Certainly, we're going to have all of the costing available to us. Pricing, I can have multiple prices. If I have price groups, maybe I have customer groups that give different pricing. Maybe my corporate customers get different prices than my online customers with Commerce Build. Also, you'll also see that we've got the replenishment system of either purchasing, a production order, or assembly. Now, we don't often see production orders with our distributor friends, but we might have some assemblies. Maybe you have a kit that you put together, or gift baskets, or Christmas baskets of various types of coffee so that you can gather that together as an assembly, and it will consume all the individual products that you use. Those are just some things that you might want to reference from the sales order if we have a question about that item. But the item availability is really nice. Now you'll note that we did have that 50 available to us when we were looking at the item card. But what is item availability? It really represents that quantity that we have on hand minus any sales orders, plus any purchase orders, any transfer orders, any assembly orders that we might be getting ready to build. It's going to represent actually the available stock in my system. You again are one click away from this information as you are communicating with customers or getting ready to fulfill this. Once a document is released, then the warehouse is able to see it. They are able to pick it, ship it, and then you would absolutely be able to post your invoice as a part of shipping, or you can review it to make sure those sales tax have calculated correctly before doing some sort of individual invoicing, or you can batch post the invoicing. A lot of options when it comes to being able to handle your sales orders. Now, one other thing that I will note is maybe we also sell to other corporations or distributors that do not pay sales tax. Even though I'm selling my coffee beans that are part of that retail tax group, and this sales order has an espresso machine on it that's also part of that retail sales group, you will note that I am not calculating any sales tax on this sales order. Why would that be? Well, this sales order is to my Addendum Corporation, and they have sent us a W-9, and we do not have to collect sales tax on them. Now, we can track that in Business Central, but that's also a really nice feature of Avatax in being able to track all those W-9s and certifications for you. Now, why would you potentially add Avatax on top of Business Central? If you are simply shipping to, one or two cities, Business Central can absolutely calculate those sales taxes for you, but that's not really what our distributors normally do. Our distributors are shipping all over the country, and some states are very easy to calculate sales tax. Some states are extremely difficult in calculating sales tax. When you run across the need to distribute all over the country or maybe to foreign countries, it's going to be really nice to allow our friends at Avalara to assist you in the calculation of those tax. That way you don't fail any audits, and you can depend on the sales tax that's being calculated. So now, as we start thinking about other features in Business Central, let's look at those features.